Welcome to After Dark at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, featuring Katrina Ness, Vanessa Collins, and Ted Ings. This episode is brought to you by BG Products, partners beyond products. And now for your hosts, Ted Ings, Vanessa Collins, and Katrina Ness.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for joining us on the Monday Night After Dark show. This evening, I'm joined with my very good peer, Vanessa Collins, Ted Ings, and SHON KINGREY.
I love it. Thank you, guys. Thank you, yes. Katrina. Thank you, Vanessa. SHON, good to see you.
Good to be seen. Thank you, Ted. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming up. We got a lot to talk about tonight. First, before we do, we want to congratulate Vanessa Collins. SHON, I don't know whether you saw the post about a week ago on LinkedIn. I'm a little late to the party here. There was a big announcement that Vanessa made. And Vanessa, tell us a little bit about it, because I understand that you won first prize.
Yeah, so this year I decided to join the competitive speech team at Northwood just because I wanted to work on public speaking, because I think that's a good skill to have. And since I'm a novice this year, I had to do 2 events. So I did impromptu and informative. And I decided to write my speech, my informative speech, about the history of marketing. And after some practice and everything, I did get first place. So that was really unexpected because, you know, I'm very new at it, but it was very rewarding as well.
Congratulations to you. That got a lot of attention on social media. Vanessa Collins, great job.
Thank you.
SHON, public speaking. Maybe you and Vanessa can speak at the NADA if John, can't make it.
Right. I may have to sneak up to Michigan to get some lessons from Vanessa. It's one of my least favorite things in the world to do. So yeah, absolutely. Maybe John and I need to get some lessons from her. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Yes, of course.
So we got a lot of people in the chat tonight coming in and welcoming, of course, our good friends. Tony Owens is here. Roger Conant from Houston is in the chat. Sean Butler, I see, joining us as well. So a lot of stuff going on tonight. Sean, want to find out what you've been up to as well. But Sean, we have a big event coming up in January, and I know you're familiar with the theme already.
Correct. So I've heard and so I've read. Yes. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to doing some of the events. Looking forward to see some of the people that we've done before. Automotive. Again, it's funny. You talk about the ones that are successful and the ones you get the most feedback. Today we were sitting in budget meetings and the Automax recruiting one came up even again because we're using them and Traver and who we're using and X Time and Cox. And it's funny how many people that are part of the Fixed Ops Roundtable are part of our business here. It's and you don't realize, but how many are related, but there's a ton of them.
So Katrina, for the longest time, SHON has wanted to be on what we call the anchor image, all right, which is the main image for the event. And congratulations, SHON. This time you made it on the anchor image as Sir SHON Kingrery. And Katrina, give us the scoop. When's the event coming up and how do we get our complimentary tickets?
Totally. So complimentary tickets, fixedopsroundtable.com is where you can acquire those. Be on the lookout for some social media posts that already have been posted about how you can find those on the websites. The event will be January 29th through February 1st from 9 a.m. to 4:30. So make sure you guys are there.
Like it a whole lot, and good looking crew there. And SHON, you and I got together in Orlando just a few months ago, and look at this. We got all the anchors there from the Roundtable in one room, and there you are with Michelle and myself.
That's right, one of the first, and Marco and Tully and Ed and Sarah, and that was I think that was your second pop-up event, if I remember correctly. I think
it was early, yeah. It
was early, and I think that was the second one. It was a great trip. Ron was there. Everybody was there. It was a great trip. Got to meet a lot of good people. It's funny, we got to meet a lot of people that through the years we're on video with, but you didn't get to meet face to face. That's
right. And Vanessa, want to point out, of course, look at all the Tully buttons. Everyone was on point wearing a Tully button, for the event, and that was in Orlando. So a lot going on. And so SHON, give us a weather report from Madison.
Sunny Wisconsin. It was 45 today. Just before we went on the air tonight, I saw that on the news. There's less than a 5% chance Wisconsin will have a white Christmas. Less than 5%. It's normally like a 65 or 70% chance. Not this year. I was in Iowa on Thursday and Friday, and it was 64 degrees.
Well, okay.
Wow.
Love it. Sean Butler, welcome as well. And Sean, got a lot going on here, and good to hear from you over the weekend as well. So, Sean, I know these ladies have a lot of questions for you. They want to know more about SHON KINGREY. They don't have the benefit of having, worked with you the past couple of years here on the Roundtable. And by the way, Sean, I want to thank you for everything that you do for fixed operations, and especially the surprise that I got in the mail about 2 weeks ago when this big gaudy ring appeared at my doorstep.
You got to kiss the ring. So there's a story there, lady. Just let me tell you, there's lots of stories. I know we talked a little bit, what would Marco do, and the sir comment and all these things. It came from a conversation that Mr. Fairchild, John Fairchild, and I had, and the question was, did you ask Ted? And I said, who's Ted? And this is before I knew who Ted really was, by the way. I don't think we even spoke. He goes, Ted's kind of the godfather. You kind of got to kiss the ring. And that was 3 or 4 years ago. And it's kind of just spun and snowballed from there.
Okay. So
I love that.
a lot of history behind that. And
Yeah.
Tony Owens, you're right, the godfather. So
For the ring, Ted's daughter was involved. Sarah Valentine was involved. John Fairchild knew about it. Kathy, there's a lot of people that were involved in getting the ring put together. So
That's
All right.
awesome.
Yeah. All right. So I got it now. So Sean, thank you so much. So
of course.
I'm going to make sure that Ron Overs sees it when he comes on Wednesday next week. So he'll be here.
Yes, definitely.
So,
Well,
all right, ladies, here we go. You got Mr. Kingry all to yourself.
okay, sounds good. So,
Right.
my first question for you is, what strategies have you used to increase profitability in fixed operations over the last year while at Kaiser?
It's funny, Vanessa. I'm going to say the same thing. Coming from Florida, it really doesn't make a difference. The car business is still a car business. It's still 4 tires and 4 wheels and 1 steering wheel. It's accountability and transparency. Everybody has to know their numbers. And I've made this comment, and it's one of the things John and I are actually discussing to talk about at NADA, is your people have to know their numbers. The people have to know where they stand and where they're going. They have to know what a good job and a bad job looks like. And you got to be able to coach them and mentor them along the way. So my 2 words for that one would be accountability and transparency. There's no secrets. We're going through budget meetings now, where last year, to be very honest with you, because I'd only been here a month, I was given the budget, and then we bumped it 10% because I didn't like it. I wanted it to be stronger. Where this year, everybody will know their numbers and how we got to the numbers. And you got to coach them and tell them and encourage them that they can hit it. Are they lofty goals? They're big goals. But if your big goals reach big rewards. So again, accountability and transparency.
Mm-hmm. So Sean, give us the backstory on Kaiser. How many dealerships were they located? Are they all in one spot? How's that work?
Absolutely. So there's 8 stores now. There was 7 last year. We picked up Janesville most recently. Janesville is a GM point. My good buddy Joe runs that store, does a phenomenal job. Good store, good action, very active store. The main store is here in Madison. That's a big Ford store. We have 3 stores in Sauk City. There's a GM point, a Ford point, and a Chrysler point. We have a Chrysler point in Watertown, Wisconsin. We have a Chrysler store in Pulaski, which is just outside Green Bay. And for those that don't know, I might be a Green Bay fan. And then we also have a Ford point in O'Connell Falls, which is about 45 minutes to an hour north of Green Bay.
What kind of franchises do you have? A lot of
all domestic. The Baxters, who Ted, you got to meet, Sean, Ryan, and Brendan.
Yeah.
They had a Nissan point. They weren't big fans of it. Their business model is strictly domestic, and they've sworn to that's all they're going to do. It really makes it convenient. We're coming from Florida. I had 19 franchises and 26 points. Here you have 3 franchises. So, 3 Ford stores, 3 Chrysler stores, and 2 GM points. It makes it easy to focus, and it also makes it easy to help. And a quick story to that: this weekend on Saturday, we had an inventory issue, so we thought, and we re-inventoried the store, and we brought all the Chrysler managers to a Chrysler store. And it was really cool to see those 3 managers working together, because that's something this group hadn't done in the past. And by the way, and just so we understand, it's a Chrysler point, decent sized store, and they were $741 off. And for those that know the parts side, that's unheard of. That's how well this inventory was ran. And anyway, all domestic, works well. Wouldn't change that. Love it. Makes it very easy to manage and makes the rep contacts pretty nice too. So,
And Sean, you have a very high focus on women in automotive at your dealerships. Tell us about that, because I got a chance to meet all the lady service managers that you have, which was pretty impressive.
We do. So we actually have, out of 8 stores, 4 of the service managers are females. Half of them are, and that's changed since I've come here. It's just happened that way. One of them you got to meet at our Watertown location had kind of a little nervous event before. One of them does very well in our Green Bay store. She's our number 1 increasing volume service manager. We've got one that I recruited out of a different store that's in our Sauk City location, and then we picked one up in the Janesville location.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, half of our staff, half of our managers.
I love how the industry is.
It is like you are like.
Yeah, I love how the industry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I like how the industry is evolving and becoming more broad and diverse. With if that's about women or just all over diversity, it's great to see that, because my mom's always in the industry. So just like hearing from her that she was the only woman at her work at one point throughout all of her companies and whatnot, so it's just great to hear that. Even as they're coming into an industry that is more than happy to have us and surrounded by other powerful people. Yeah.
Our Chrysler store and our Pulaski store right outside of Green Bay, it's a complete female service drive. Three riders and the manager are all females. Our Sauk City Chrysler store has this female service manager, two female riders and 1 male rider. So very, very female dominant. The Ford store's half female service drive.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love to see it.
That's awesome. So all those doors, yeah.
Vanessa's
I
freezing.
think I'm having a connection issue.
There we go.
Can you guys hear me?
It's breaking up. It is breaking up. Vanessa, maybe you can step in as well.
Yeah, of course. Can you guys? Am I good?
You're great.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So our next question that we have for you is, how do you ensure the efficiency or proficiencies of service, parts, and body shop departments?
Again, partially the same answer. We use a leaderboard that John Fairchild, quite frankly, again, I'm going to mention John's name again. John does a great job with us. We post hours, productivity. We post our budgets that everybody can see. It's funny, we talk about in the car business, reinventing the wheel. We've used sales leaderboards for how many years? Nobody wants to be on the bottom. This guy sold 25 cars and this guy sold 4 cars. Why would we do any different in service? We post our hours. We set goals based on what we know a technician can do. And it's not, and again, totally shout out, it's not all about the hours. It's about how many hours that guy's supposed to turn. And that doesn't mean everybody's set at 8 hours. Some people can be 8 hours. Some people can do 10 hours. Some can do 11 a day. And that's where it turns them green. Anything less than at 100%, and that could be 11 hours. It could be 7 hours. And again, we post those. We post our budgets. We post our goals by gross profit so everybody can see it, so everybody has buy-in.
That's awesome.
That includes parts, technicians, service writers. Everybody knows where we stand in every single one of our stores.
Wow. That's great. That's a great strategy.
And Katrina, you've cleared up. You're back now.
Good. I know. I was about to ask a question and then it just went all crazy on me. I was like, all right.
And by the way, before our call tonight, Sean, somebody called me, somebody in our industry, somebody very prominent, and said they are going to do a 3-hour virtual event coming up in the next month. And I said, okay, and what's it about? They told me, and I said, are you going to go live or are you going to record it? And they said, oh, it's only 3 hours. We're going live, okay? And I'm like, okay, you might want to reconsider that for 3 hours. And it's going to be all panels, Sean, all panels. So,
and for those that don't know Ted personally, Ted, you have internet issues even at your house, you have internet issues.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's putting a lot on the line.
Yeah.
Really?
Okay, Katrina, sorry.
All right. I don't think you guys asked this already, but out of all of these amazing stores where you have amazing women working and the 3 big names, so how do you ensure the efficiency or the proficiencies of the service department, the parts, and the body shops?
Next question. We just answered that one while you were all Same
Um,
answer, by the way. Transparency. We post
there
it.
you go.
That's
Transparency.
it. We post it.
All right, next question. What steps do you take to ensure customer satisfaction and retention in the fixed ops department?
Okay, because we talk about it. You know, and back to Ted's question of what lines we have. The advantage we have is we only have 3 basic manufacturers: the GM, Ford, and Chrysler. You have to pull those CSI numbers daily. Not that the reps won't tell you if you're doing a good job or a bad job. They like to tell you when you do bad mostly, but you have to talk about them. You got to talk about the challenges. If you have a service writer that's off the deep end per se and doing a poor job on CSI, it's not about making friends, guys. Sometimes it's business, and you got to make decisions. You got to talk about and see what the challenges are. And maybe the challenges are us. Maybe it's internal. Maybe it's an us problem and not a them problem. But you have to know your CSI by each store. And pay plans drive behavior. Pay plans have to have some CSI tied to it. If the advisors and the managers aren't tied into, and I believe that in parts too, because they have just as big piece of it. If the advisors and the managers aren't tied into CSI, then they're not going to be drinking the Kool-Aid.
Sean, did you have to address pay plans when you went up there, or was that not something you had to do?
So we did. We did because we had to hire some people, Ted. We did have to address pay plans. And as I said, literally as of today, we spent 3 or 4 hours in Sean Baxter's office going over budgets and stuff. And pay plans are part of that. Now, as the growth comes, pay plans go up too. And I always talked about technicians and such. And by the time you teach a technician that they can turn 10 or 11 hours a day and not to be stuck at 7 or 8, once they get a taste of that, they never want to come off of that. They enjoy that. It's no different. Again, pay plans drive behavior.
Love that.
Yeah.
Strong stuff. Sean knows his stuff. He knows the fixed ops business, and he's run some big operations. And what attracted you to Madison? I'm just curious. What other than the climate, of course. What else did you come up there?
Part of it's the Godfather's fault. The guy in the corner there, by the way, just so you know. So when I decided to leave Florida, and Ted, you know this. I was in New Jersey and New York and Miami and Charleston, South Carolina, and Charlotte, North Carolina. I was in a lot of different places. And to be very honest with you, obviously I'm a big Packer fan. Everybody knows that. And it was the Baxters. I mean, I met with the Baxters, just so everybody knows how this all went down. I kind of had settled on Charleston, South Carolina, and that's where I was going to go. And I get a phone call from Sean Baxter and says, will you we fly up here if we fly you up on a weekend and meet with us? I'm like, God, I don't know if I want to go to Madison or not. I'm from the Midwest, but don't know that I want to do that. And the interview started, I don't know, Ted, you and I talked probably at 5:30 at night. And at midnight, I'm standing in the bar area, and I don't drink, by the way. I'm standing in the bar, and I'm on the phone with Ted Ings going, these guys are the real deal. And that's how it all happened. And that was officially a year ago. But it was the Baxters, their beliefs, the way of business, the way they do business. And we can get into that where, just so everybody knows, Sean Baxter has a vision of going to 3-day work weeks for technicians. We're going to roll that out. I mean, we're rolling it out now. We're going to start at 4 days. But the idea is 3 days on, 4 days off. And who's doing that? I mean, you do the math backwards. It takes care of vacations. It takes care of time off. It takes care of sick days. They're literally going to work 3 days and 4 days off. Technicians' lives are changing. And I know, Ted, we do 100 panels about technicians and how we recruit and how we retain. It's all about turning the hours, and it's all about getting to turn hours. So again, to be very honest with you, it was the Baxters and Green Bay. But anyway, yeah. Green Bay.
Well, they're very fortunate. I told Sean Baxter when we had lunch that day, and the Traver folks were there. We just finished up the pop-up event. I told them they were very fortunate to get you, one of the very best in the country. You've been on the cover now of Fixed Ops magazine. And you're Sean, you're involved in so much in our industry, on the fixed side. And
well, Ted, you made a comment earlier. Thanks for all I do, Ted. And I say it every chance we get. Ted, the Godfather, we joke about it, but there's some truth to that. You definitely put fixed operations back on the map.
Yeah. I didn't know it. I didn't know that it hadn't been done already. So I didn't know any better.
No, you definitely found a niche that we're all a big part of it. So.
All right. So bring us up to speed, Sean, on your health, because I know you just went through something a couple months ago. You look great. And,
Thank you.
We were all following your progress there.
I think they call it, I keep getting called, they called it the Alive Day, I think. So officially, now I think we're 11 weeks out? 11 weeks out. It was on a Monday night, the heart attack, open heart surgery on Wednesday. I was back to work in 11 days. To be very honest with you guys, I've never felt better. I feel great. Moving around, nothing. No, the only limitations is I'm back in the gym. I'm doing arms, I'm doing shoulders, I'm doing back, doing legs. I still can't do chest, still can't lift anything. That's an issue. But outside of that, Ted, I don't know that I've ever felt better.
That happened on a Monday. We had an after dark show, and you were in the comments on that. That happened that evening because you texted me and called me the next day, and you said, they're going to operate, and they're going to operate in a couple days. And I didn't realize, and I don't think you did it yet either, they were going to operate the next day.
Correct. Yeah. So the heart attack happened on Monday night. Everybody knows that Kathy called 911, and thanks to you, we had a show, and I appreciate everything. Tuesday, they tried to put stents in, failed miserably. The stents didn't work. I found out why people like fentanyl, by the way. You don't really care at that point. And then Wednesday was the open heart surgery.
Well,
wow.
And he's back to work so quick. Sean, I'm amazed how quick you got back. So
yeah, I'm fortunate. Again, Sean Butler. We all know it's Sean and Sean's struggle and Sean's challenge. And I actually talked to Sean at 10:30 on Saturday night, 11:30 his time. And Ted, your support, Ed's support, Sarah's support, everybody's support. Totally, I can't say enough.
Yeah, a lot going on there. So, ladies, this is an industry leader in SHON Kingrery and an expert, on fixed. And you really come in, and they weren't broken over there at Kaiser, but they needed to do some work, and they needed to, step things up and get in the modern age. So, talk to us a little bit about some of the companies that you're working with and brought in. I think you mentioned Cox Automotive, X-Time is involved with you folks now. Traver's involved. Tell us what's going on up there.
Yeah. So when I got here, they didn't. And again, I know I made some comments, and you and I discussed it. And I won't say that they were stuck in the Fred Flintstone era again, because they got in trouble for that. But they didn't have a scheduling system, Ted. They didn't have. They were literally letting the advisors schedule at their point, and it was just the basics, back to the basics. Again, like I said, it isn't any different in Wisconsin than it is in Florida. We had to install a scheduling system. That's Traver. Obviously, Traver is in place. We had to put X-Time in place because the DMS system, at the time we had 3 DMSs. We're down to 2 now. But there was letting the DMS do the scheduling system, which they couldn't do. John Fairchild is now with us, by the way. Obviously, Traver, X-Time, John Fairchild. Who am I missing? Owen Moon. As we all know, Owen's here. Owen's doing all of our stores now. I mean, and again, Ted, those are all people that we've met through you, and they're all working well. And again, they're not vendors. They're all partners of ours.
Yeah, I think it's pretty important. And I know Robert Miggs would say the same thing from Carter Myers.
Yes.
Up there. They're all partners. I was impressed, by the folks that you had when we were up there and how they talked about it. And you even had Julie Douglas, at our event that we did up there in the showroom. And you've done a lot for her and with her. And you had the president of the Wisconsin Automotive and Truck Dealer Association with us for our event up there.
Yeah, Julie brought her. And it's funny. And by the way, Julie does business in our Janesville store. Another partner of ours through you. She brought him along, and Sean Baxter and him are like great friends, and they kind of went off and did their own thing and started talking. Yeah, that was a pretty cool event, for lack of better words.
Yeah, you did it right. So a big joy to be able to come up and do that. So what's ahead for you, Sean? What's next? And what do you got on the drawing board? 2024.
So 2020 focused a lot on service in 2023. And I don't want to say service was broke, but it needed some steps to repair it. Okay. We put some processes in place. 2024, parts. We're going to focus on parts. Focused a lot on labor, focused a lot on warranty uplift, parts increases. We're going to put some pretty lofty goals out there for parts. I started sending some emails today during the meeting going, y'all better get ready, because there's going to be big lofty goals, but they're big lofty goals that are attainable if you do the process right. You can't let advisors do discounts. You can't let advisors give things away. You can't let the advisors beat the parts people up and make them discount things. And it's okay to ask the manufacturer to get reimbursed for what you're entitled for.
Sean, if you had to give some advice to a young person just getting involved in the automotive industry, perhaps a female, okay, getting involved like Vanessa, Katrina, what kind of advice would you give them, from all the experience you've got in the industry and working with all these people, in all these different areas? What would you say?
First of all, find a good pharmacy for blood pressure medicine. That'd be my first one. Outside of that one, I think you got to have a mentor. You got to have somebody that you look up to. And for me, that was my very first dealer principal, who I spent 7 years with. And you got to have somebody who will let you make mistakes the first time and then beat you up pretty hard the second time. And because then you won't make the mistake again, I promise you. And really, that's what it is. And again, I'm not going to put Ted on another pedestal again, but somebody like Ted and I talk a lot offline, just so you know. And Ted's a mentor of mine, and I'm not ashamed to say that. But you got to have a mentor. You got to have somebody who's going to teach you the car business. It's a very lucrative business, obviously. You got to put a lot of time and effort into it. But this is no different than like the Marine Corps. You will get everything you put into it back tenfold as long as you do it. You got to be honest. You got to be upfront, and you got to be transparent. And I don't know what else to say, Ted. That's 29 years I've been doing this. It'll be 30 years in April. I'm not in my fourth quarter. I'm not allowed to say that according to Ted either, by the way. But I don't know what else I would do, Ted. I don't. That's why I was back 11 days after heart surgery. And because what else am I going to do? This is what I love.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I love that advice. I appreciate that.
I've also heard, Sean, that Eliana Raggio spoke. She was a keynote speaker a while back from Women in Automotive. And she said that people today getting in the auto industry, they need allyship. They need someone to go to bat for them. So it's one thing to have a mentor, but an ally is somebody who will speak up for you when you're not in the room on your behalf. And it's important to find those allies in the industry and to have them as well. And I thought that was I took a lot of notes from what she said. I thought it was very well
said. It's extremely true too.
Yeah. So like all that's going on there. So what do you think, Katrina? How we doing here with Sean?
I'm doing great. I'm awesome. I've loved what you've said so far, but quick question. How do you stay updated on the latest trends and best practices in fixed operations management?
That's an easy ledge. That's like a softball that's easy to hit. Quite frankly, Ted's events are good. Obviously, they're 4 days, 5 days. There's so many trends and so many things you can pick up for them. As we talked about, all the vendors that I now know. If it wasn't for the pop-up events, it wasn't for Ted's regular events and the recordings, I wouldn't know who Owen Moon was. I wouldn't have known who John Traver was. I wouldn't have known who John Fairchild was. All those come from these events. Sorry, Ted, they do. And again, it's another plug. But Ted doesn't have people that Ted doesn't trust. Ted doesn't have people that you can't be afraid to bring to your dealer principal and say, this is how we're going to do an ROI. And if you don't know what ROI is, return on investment, everything you do has to have an ROI attached to it. And I don't know a single vendor or partner that I've done business with that Ted hasn't recommended that doesn't have a tenfold ROI to it.
No, good stuff. And, a lot of conferences out there as well, but they're not always focused on fixed ops, Sean. A lot of times they're focused on the sales side.
You mentioned NADA earlier, and this will be my third NADA in a row. It's 95% variable, the front end, guys. There's only 5% that's really fixed. And when I say it's a small niche, Robert and I were just together in Orlando at a Chrysler conference. That was the largest, according to Chrysler, it's the largest vendor event domestic that they've ever had. And it was all fixed ops driven. It was amazing. That event was larger than what NADA supplies to fixed operations. Yeah, they had all the vendors there in one place.
Right.
Like it. All right. So big event coming up, Mr. Kingry. You are Sir Sean Kingry, a knight of the Roundtable. And that event, Vanessa, is going to be here before you and I and Katrina know it. It's going to be here soon.
Absolutely. It is happening January 29th through February 1st. And you can get your complimentary tickets right now at fixedopsroundtable.com. Make sure to stay updated on the socials as we post weekly. And yeah, we're really excited. It really is going to be here before we know it.
Sean, are we too shameless with these plugs for the event?
I don't think we're too shameless at all. And that wasn't the intent tonight, was to plug Ted. It just led that direction. But it's true. Nothing I said wasn't true.
Okay. All right. Big event, Knights of the Roundtable. It's going to be our 23rd Fixed Ops Roundtable. Hard to believe. And we'll be here before we know it. And Sean, you're going to be on a whole lot of stuff, a lot of panels and a lot of recordings. And buckle up, because you're going to be getting those calls and texts from me. So
looking forward to it.
All right, guys. All right. So on behalf of the Fixed Ops Roundtable, I want to thank Sean Kingry for being with us tonight. Also, our exclusive sponsor, BG Products, your partner beyond products. Vanessa Collins and Katrina Ness will be back on Wednesday night with a special show. And next Monday and Wednesday, we have the holiday editions, 2 holiday shows coming up with Santa at both of them. You don't want to miss those as well. And Sean, I understand we're going to get the word on the list on who's who, the naughty and nice, Sean.
Last year, I didn't make either list. I'll just, you know what? I'm good. I'll stay right down the middle. I'm good with that.
All right. You don't want me to bring it up?
No, well, no, we'll leave it alone.
All right. Everybody have a good night. Thank you for joining us tonight.
You.
And we'll see you all